Привіт, I'm Chuck Olenek, a Ukrainian-American, baptized with the name Yaroslav, and today is St. Joseph's Day, March 19th. And if you're a Southern California viewer of this channel, you know that it's the traditional return day of the cliff swallows to Mission San Juan Capistrano. In Ukraine, it is marked by the return of the stork, the national bird of Ukraine. Just something I thought I'd throw in there because it was a fun fact that I picked up today. But this video, in keeping with the overall theme of Tales of the Borderland, is Slavic stuff, and it's going to be about the magpie. The Eurasian magpie, known as soroka in Ukrainian, it's a common, widespread resident bird throughout Ukraine. There's lots of folklore all throughout Northern Europe and North America. Let's deal with the nature stuff first. The Eurasian magpie is found over a wide area. It's a resident breeding bird throughout the northern part of the Eurasian continent. It is one of several birds in the crow family, the corvids, that are designated as magpies. In Europe, the term magpie is used by English speakers as a synonym for the Eurasian magpie. There's another one called the Iberian magpie, which doesn't tend to leave that peninsula. This is one of the most intelligent birds and is believed to be among the most intelligent of all animals, ranking with chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, and humans if you're looking at a brain-to-body ratio. This is indicated by their use of tools, their ability to hide and store food across seasons, episodic memory. Magpies have been observed engaging in elaborate social rituals, which may include expression of grief. They can recognize themselves in mirrors. In captivity, magpies have been observed counting up to get food, imitating human voices, and regularly using tools to clean their own cages. In the wild, they organize themselves into gangs and use complex strategies to fend off potential predators. A bit more nature stuff, more about the diet. So the magpie will eat vegetable substances, acorns, grain. It'll eat scraps, it'll eat small mammals, insects. It will eat young birds and eggs and carrion. So that eating young birds and eggs part, also the carrion part, keep that in mind. Magpies have a bad reputation due to their perceived thievery, aggressive territorial behavior during nesting, dietary habits that include eggs and nestlings of other birds, while roosting beside other bird species, and historical folklore linking them to bad luck, death, mischief, bad stuff, despite some crimes being misunderstandings or exaggerations. All right, so magpies have an inquisitive and mischievous nature, and just like other corvids, they're prone to stealing small shiny objects to adorn their nests with. So it's a bad idea to leave shiny stuff, like rings sitting on, or coins sitting on a windowsill if you really want to keep this stuff. And so they're going to often get blamed for missing jewelry or other valuables. If a treasured ring goes missing, it's the magpie that did it. So this reputation for being thieves becomes so rooted in culture that it inspires Rossini's opera, The Thieving Magpie, where a young French girl is falsely accused of theft, and she's convicted, and she's executed, and then they find out the real culprit. And of course, everybody knows that piece of music, and I've had that in my head all day because it's now associated with Clockwork Orange and the gang fight. So let's go on into folklore. Let's start with the Western European stuff. In Britain, no other wild bird is so steeped in superstition as the magpie. For centuries, folklore surrounding magpies has flourished across the United Kingdom and Europe. During the Victorian era, such fear of the bird grew that it was nearly hunted to extinction. Of course, now there happen to be laws prohibiting killing the bird. Okay, the church does not help the magpie's reputation any. According to church teachings, the magpie was the only bird that failed to weep or mourn during Christ's crucifixion, supposedly because of the black and white plumage. All right, this is going to lead to superstitions linking magpies to bad luck or evil. There was a record of a vicar recorded this record of one of his servants claiming that the magpie refused to enter Noah's Ark, choosing instead to sit out in the rain and chatter and swear. Another story from the same period describes the magpie as being a hybrid between the raven and the dove, making it the only bird not to have been baptized. And, there was another good one. The church also popularized the rumor that magpies carry a drop of the devil's blood in their tongues. Supposedly, if their tongues were cut to release the blood, magpies would gain the ability to speak like humans. Over time, magpies' reputation as bad birds evolved into the belief that they bring bad luck. However, there's a famous nursery rhyme that suggests this superstition largely revolves around seeing a single magpie. Magpies are known to mate for life, so encountering a lone magpie might suggest it has lost its mate, which could symbolize sorrow or misfortune. On the other hand, spotting a group of magpies is believed to bring good luck, joy, or maybe even wealth, as the well-known rhyme illustrates. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told. That rhyme encapsulates the dual nature of magpie superstitions. You see a single bird, that's going to bring sorrow. More magpies suggest prosperity or happiness. Okay, so running into a solitary magpie is supposed to be bad luck. So here's how to prevent the bad luck. You spot a lone magpie and fear it might visit bad luck upon you. You can do several things. Take your hat off as a sign of respect. Salute it. Call it by a name like General or Captain or Jack or Mr. Magpie. And ask, how are the wife and kids? The traditions meant to treat the bird with respect so that it doesn't visit misfortune upon you, and by acknowledging a pair of magpies and by asking about the magpie's wife or family, you're symbolically implying there's 2 magpies, and that means good luck rather than just one, which is bad luck. Oh, you're also supposed to, according to some sources, spit 3 times over your shoulder, or I like this one, blink rapidly to convince yourself you're seeing 2 of them instead of 1. Flap your arms like wings and mimic a magpie's call to symbolically provide it with a mate. You know people had to have tried this stuff. Okay, let's take a look at Slavic ideas. Like other corvids, magpies have long been associated with death. During medieval times, they were often seen scavenging near battlefields, gallows, and field hospitals where they fed on carrion. Similar to Western European traditions, as in like 1 for sorrow, a solitary magpie is often seen as a sign of misfortune, illness, or impending death, sometimes called a gallows bird due to its presence at execution sites. Magpies are known to make a loud rattling trill when excited or alarmed, such as when they see a person or an animal. They're the worst enemy of any hunter because they're always going to seem to warn the prey of the hunter's presence. And this trait of the magpies was valued by partisans during World War II that knew of an enemy approaching because a magpie is making a fuss. In northern Russia's lore, the magpie might be in league with the Leshy, the spirit that guards the forests. Seeing a magpie is equal to receiving a warning from the master of the woods. Some hunters considered seeing and alarming a magpie bad luck and turned around towards home soon after that, which is no surprise considering that Magpie would probably warn the whole forest of his arrival. This fits with stories that magpies are protecting animals from hunters, and so were despised by foresters. Since the magpie is a noisy creature, the chatter that it produces is historically linked to idle gossip. And they say about a news source of which you don't wish to disclose, you say, a magpie brought it to me on its tail. All right, you're not revealing your sources. Or as suggested in some folklore, all the chatter was a sign of thieves, which to me sounded really stupid because wouldn't thieves want to tend to be quiet? All right. Between their noisiness and stealing shiny objects to adorn their nests, these two habits of theirs gave them a reputation of being wicked or witch birds in Eastern Europe. Folklore suggests witches can shapeshift into magpies that steal milk and they spy on others or cause mischief or they hex people. They might even steal the moon. That's what I've read in a number of sources. That could explain a lunar eclipse as the moon is enveloped by darkness. In many Slavic traditions, a magpie sitting near a house or bringing a stick to the roof was believed to be a witch preparing to cause harm or showing that a witch lived there. This becomes especially dangerous if a magpie is seen near the home of a pregnant woman. So such magpie witches, they're called Vishtici by the Slavs of the Balkans, but what they do tends to be kind of all through the Slavic world. They'll fly into homes at night when pregnant women go to bed without crossing themselves, or if they're not sleeping with a cross on, or if they lie on their stomachs. And upon entering the cabin, the chata, a shape-shifting magpie, seems to paralyze a pregnant woman. She's unable to move. Unborn babies are abducted and they're replaced by either burnt logs or brooms or pieces of raw pork or frogs that later have the gift of speech. Or the magpie just might steal the baby's soul outright and the baby dies at birth. You can identify a magpie that's a shape-shifting witch, that there will be a very slight blue glow around the bird. Hopefully you can see it. According to a legend, magpies don't live in Moscow because Tsar Ivan the Terrible banished them. He was, according to legend, severely depressed after his wife died, and this depression eventually deepened into a mad obsession with his own health. He surrounded himself with physicians wherever he went, employed a food taster, and kept everyone at a distance, for he was convinced that witches were cursing him. That being so, as the myth goes, he ordered all the witches in Russia to be rounded up and brought to Moscow. The legend has it he had them corralled in the main square within a great circle of straw bales, which he ordered to be set on fire on every side. Flames engulfed the witches, black smoke and cackling screams rose into the air, and then a strange thing happened. Out of the smoke flew a vast flock of magpies, one for each witch. They had shapeshifted and so evaded the fate which the mad Tsar had ordained for them. They flew to every part of Russia, where they proceeded to exact revenge on humankind by stealing the souls of unborn children so they would be stillborn, or if that failed, they would try to peck newborn babies to death as they emerged from the womb. Scary stuff. No Russian mother-to-be wants a magpie anywhere near her to this day, allegedly. They're a bad omen. So in the southern Balkans, magpie's bad. In Russia, magpie's bad. In Ukraine, not always. The magpie can be regarded as a sacred bird and a messenger from the ancestors. Old school calendar, March 9th. Now it's March 22nd. The festival of Soroki is celebrated in honor of the 40 martyrs. Soroki conveniently means both 40 and magpie. Hey, doing double duty. It's also essentially a rite of spring associated with the beginning of spring, the awakening of nature, blossoming, all that good stuff, the arrival of the first migratory birds, especially magpies and larks, which symbolize the arrival of warmth. Sweet little cakes are made in the shape of magpies and larks, sometimes covered in honey, and these are blessed and eaten in honor of departed souls, which are thought to be revisiting while those still alive celebrate the rebirth of Earth after the harshness of winter. It was believed that their distribution to children and neighbors would bring good luck and contribute to the onset of warm days. So there's a more secular and pagan vibe associated with the natural cycles. Throwing breadcrumbs to birds and watching their behavior. And it's believed that the birds that arrived could bring news from deceased ancestors, so they were treated with respect. So we got a little bit of magpie lore and how it also kind of fits in with the Slavic world. And hey, that's just in time to view this video and be able to appreciate the festival or Feast of Soroki. Well, until the next time, do pobачення. Oh, and happy spring.